Today's special guest, the real Ed Oliver, is going to join the show to do a first round mock draft. And then we're going to get his thoughts on Kyle Kuzma and where he might be going, and Chief Keefe getting the job officially. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. And today we got a special guest. He needs no introduction. You already know the real Ed Oliver. How you doing today, bro?
Yes, sir. I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. I love the new intro. Definitely let me know to do some ad reads. I'll read some ad reads for, PrizePicks, BetterHelp, Gametime, just to get the flow. But no, it feels good to be back on, man. It feels good. It's back like I never left. I'm not back officially or anything like that. I'm just a guest. So it feels weird to be a guest, but man, it feels good to be back on talking basketball with you, man.
Hey, man, it's always a good time with you, bro. So I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. So we're going to get into a first-round mock draft today, and then I'm going to get your comments and opinion on Kyle Kuzma, where he may end up, and Chief Keefe, officially the 26th coach or head coach that is for the Washington Wizards. So I guess we're going to get into the mock draft. So we're going to do a first-round mock draft. So right now it's pick number 2, pick number 26, but if you want to trade back into the lottery, you can. So what are you thinking in what's your mock draft? What are you looking at 2 and 26?
So for 2 and 26, I know there's been a lot of smoke and a lot of reports coming out that Zachary Reese would be the first pick of the draft. I personally don't believe that. I think it will be Alex Sarr, just my personal opinion. I think the Hawks will take him first. At pick 2, what I feel in my gut is going to happen, I feel like I know a lot of the experts have been, or consensus has been saying that Reese is basically penciled in, not with pen, but just penciled in as the number 2 pick. That's what a lot of people have going on as far as like scouts and whatnot. A lot of national media pundits. But if it was up to me, who would I pick at number 2? It's really a toss up between I know a lot of people don't want Klingon, but he's an option. He certainly is. They certainly need a you don't want to draft for a need, but he would be a great pickup as far as like a defensive, possibly being a defensive anchor, good defender, good finisher around the rim. We just haven't had a lot of bigs that can do that what he does as far as their potential wise. Yeah. Being able to just be automatic double and just automatic guy who can protect the rim, protect the paint at 7'1". But yeah, I mean, anybody between Klingon, Castle, Dillingham, for me, any of those guys, I would be fine with at pick number 2. I'm not banging on the table for anybody because this draft to me basically is like kind of everybody's in that same tier. I don't think anybody really stands above anybody, kind of like how Paolo was his draft and Victor was his draft last year. So, or even on Chet Holmgren's level, in my opinion, out of the guys that we see here, all talented, but just not that elite level, in my opinion. Yeah. And then at 26, guys that I'm hoping for Bub Carrington, of course. I'm hoping for Keyshawn George. There's a lot of guys you could throw that, Evis Misi. There's a couple guys, that would be a big man that could help out for sure. Isaiah Collier, if he drops that far. Deron Holmes, another big man that can, shoot. He's just a really versatile, modern big man. And I am starting to warm up to Jared McCain from Duke. He's a guy that can really, really shoot the 3 and can score. Had a couple of big games in the tournament. So, but if I had to guess what I think Will Dawkins is going to do, pick 26, I'm gonna go with a big man. I do feel like Evis Misi drops to 26, and we trade Gafford.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we trade Gafford to the Mavericks. Of course, he's in the finals. Just like every other Wizard that leaves the team or is traded, they always make it to the finals. I think we draft his replacement with Evis Misi. That's my guess.
Okay, I could dig it. I mean, Missi's a guy I really got into this week, man. I like him later in the draft. I'm with you, man. All right, so full first round mock draft. All right. Like you said, it's been a toss-up between Reese and Alex Sarr. Man, I'm gonna assume they go with Alex Sarr. So I've been a pro Donovan Clingan guy, but I'll say this, the NBA is all about relationships. There's a lot of smoke as far as Risa Shea's relationship with Blau and his ability to play the 2, the 3, and the 4. And I think that we're eventually going to move on from Kyle Kuzma. So this is probably one of the few times I said, but I'm going to roll with Zachary Risa Shea. I'm going to roll with him number 2 because I think there's a chance to get a big later in the draft. So at number 2, I'm rolling with Zachary Risa Shea. But I'm trading in. We're not going to get to 26 yet. I'm trading back into the lottery. I'm going to flip Kyle Kuzma to the Sacramento Kings for Davion Mitchell, Trey Lyles, and a number 13 pick. So with that, you get a young point guard and Davion Mitchell, who put him in the same backcourt with Jordan Poole. One of them, Davion Mitchell could defend. And I think at age 25, he fits the timeline. With number 13, I'm picking up Kel'el Ware. I like him, 7-footer, very swift on his feet. He can stretch the floor, 3-point shooter. He can score in the paint, mid-range. Defense is there, even though he does need a little more work on that side, but rim protection potential is definitely there. The biggest thing with Kel'el Ware is his drive. I mean, he's been called quote unquote soft. I think that, and I don't like calling guys soft, but I always call it, a lack of a motor. You know what I mean? Because they said the same thing about Marvin Bagley. We saw a whole different Marvin Bagley this year, as we both know. So I'm rolling Kel'el Ware, man. He's 7-footer. All right, so number 26, I got to go roll with Kaishan George, man. I mean, his ability to shoot. We need a guy who play the 2 guard on the second unit. We don't know what's going on with Johnny Davis. Landry Shaman's probably going to be, it's not guaranteed, so he's probably on his way out. So I can see Kaishan George being that 2 guard on the second unit, man. So, yeah, that's going to be my full first round, man. Like I said, we could have went second round, but that's even more of a toss-up, I mean, in my opinion. But I like your pick. I mean, Missy is a really under the radar move in the later first round because I think, again, like you said, he could definitely be that center that replace Daniel Gafford. And again, it is tough watching Daniel Gafford and KP in the NBA finals against each other. So let me ask you real quick before we move on. What's your hesitancy with Risa Shea?
Just the finishing ability. I mean, he has to get stronger. You can say that about everybody in the draft. But you look at some of his percentages around the rim, they're pretty low. Like with his right hand is like 29%, his left hand 26% at the rim. But he can shoot the 3. But can he create his own shot? Yeah. Can he finish through contact? So those are question marks to me. I just feel like his ceiling is Nicholas Batum. It really is. Nicholas Batum, 3, just a 3-and-D guy. I don't really see all-star potential when I watch him play. I think he's a talented player, but once again, I just see a 3-and-D guy like Nicholas Batum, or he's more athletic than Otto Porter.
Yeah.
But I see like Nicholas Batum, guys like that. That's kind of what I see from Risa Shea. So he's got to live in a weight room. And that is normal for a guy who's 19 years old. But I do see the potential, but just creating shots. But whatever league he was in the last couple of games, he showed some big flashes. He had some really, really big games. He showed some positive signs towards the end of this draft process. Or, I mean, the draft process is still going on. But he had a couple of big games where he did show like, hey, he's dunking on people. He's finishing above the rim, finishing through contact at times. So, but there are some times where, he's losing his handle, struggling with pick and roll ball handling, making decisions. So, yeah, there's a lot of flaws with guys. I think everybody in this draft in the top 5 has a flaw. Like, I love Stephon Castle. I love his drive and his motor and how physical he is. But can he shoot the 3? Can he develop that shot? It's just a lot of question marks with everybody in that top. Like Ron Holland, can he shoot the 3? I actually like Ron Holland a lot. I really do. I think he's super athletic and has a high motor and very physical too. Like, I like him a lot too, but it's like, would I really take him at pick 2? Would I be comfortable with that? And I like Dillingham a lot too, but he's on the small side. But this is what I will say. I love guys that can score the ball. I always have an affinity or a soft spot for bucket getters and guys that can score. Keontae George last year, Jaden Hardy, who had a couple good games in the conference finals. I was big on him, Malachi Branham. So guys like that can really just fill it up and score. I always have a spot for them. But no, I like your trade too. I like your trade where we trade with the Kings for pick 13. I know a lot of people, a lot of mock trades have had Harrison Barnes involved with it, where we get back pick 13 and a second round pick, which is a solid trade, and pick 13. Kel'el Ware, you hit the nail on the head there with the motor question mark. That's been a huge question mark with his game. But, you look at some of his numbers, some of his games. He has some big games, a lot of double-doubles. He can shoot the 3 too. He can put the ball on the floor. Super, super talented player. So, I mean, him and Vucevic together, that would be a nasty duo right there. Just versatile bigs that can step out and space the floor. You would just have a lot of talented big men on the floor. Bagley would still be here too. So, you have a good like rotation of big men that can do a lot of different things though. So I like that trade and getting Khalil Ware. I mean, if they get 13, like there's so many things they can do with pick 13.
Yeah.
I mean, Collier is available. Terrence Shannon might be available. He should be available. I know Topic, we talked about him, off the air and whatnot.
Yeah.
He's partially tore his ACL. So
Yeah.
I just wouldn't take the chance with him.
No.
At pick 13, but yeah, Keyshawn George, pick 13, Bub Carrington. There's just so much talent that you could get at pick 13 if they're able to get pick 13.
Nah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you look at pick 1 through 15, it's really up in the air because you've seen guys rise and fall. 6 months ago, Ron Holland was number 1. If you look at guys like Matas Bazilis, he's gone for anywhere from 15 to last time I saw was 3rd. Houston, man. I've seen him at 5th at Detroit. So same thing with Dijon Salon. I mean, he's a guy who's kind of rising at the 4 position. So I'm with you, man. I think this is like I said, a lot of experts are down on this draft. And yeah, you're not going to find a guy who's going to start right away. You're just not. But for a team like the Wizards where, you're in a rebuild, year 2 of a rebuild, this is perfect because it's a developmental draft. You have the time to take a couple guys, 2, 3 guys. Take the time to develop them. We have a core in place already. You don't need to rush and start these guys. Even Risa Shea, he's probably not going to start right away. And like I said, I'm a big Klingon guy. I like Klingon. I think 7'3", 280 pounds. He has an NBA body. You can say the same thing about Zach Edey out of Purdue. But normally most of the time I've been picking Klingon with number 2. But my biggest thing is this: can I grab a center later in the draft if I go a different direction with my number 2? And that's kind of what I did with Risa Shea, which I'm with you. He's got potential. It's just he's got to get strong. So I'm with you on that. So I'm with you, man. I can dig it. I love the mock draft, man. So like I said, the Wizards have a lot of leeway which direction to go. We're not tied down by a contract. We've got adults in the front office now who are going to make informed decisions based on scouting and development. So I'm going to get your comment on and your opinion on Kyle Kuzma. His name has been a hot topic on the trade market. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. So Gametime. I go to games all the time. Major League Baseball, the O's, the Nats, Wizards, Commanders. All the time I'm on the road going to games, and I've gone through every ticket app. And to me, Gametime is the best one. Why? There's several reasons why. Number 1, last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets from sports and concerts, comedy shows, theater shows, etc. What else gets you mind? Oh, all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout, which a lot of these other apps are very guilty for. And seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? That'll turn on the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch today to Locked On Sports, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right, let's get into it, E. Kyle Kuzma, the front office officially said that he is on the market, and they have not deviated away from the asking price they had at the trade deadline, which is 2 first-rounders. So this is kind of a 2-part question. Where do you see him? Where do you see his best fit? And what kind of package you think is going to take to lure Kyle Kuzma away from the 202?
Yeah, we'll see if he has an unofficial no trade clause here. Let's see if they show him the trade, and if they ask him if he wants to go here or not, and he can say no and whatnot, like they did a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because Dallas, they're the team that offered a first-round pick for him. I'm not sure if it was 2. I feel like Brian Windhorst might have said 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because Kuz was like he wants to stay in DC and build something. He doesn't feel like the Mavericks are a contender, and then guess what? The Mavericks are in the finals. And Gaffer's in the finals. So that's something to look at there. I don't think the Mavericks, obviously the Mavericks are not going to trade for him now. It's too late. The Pacers were interested. They're not going to trade for him because of Siakam.
Yeah.
They traded for Siakam instead. The Kings are still a team that I would certainly look at. The Lakers have reportedly had interest. There's a couple of teams that you can take a look at. They have interest. But I think the Kings are the team that if I had to put money down, I would bet on them because they've always had interest in Kuzma. Kuzma thought he was going to get traded to the Kings back when he got traded here for Russell Westbrook. So there's always been a connection there. I think he fits well on the Kings. I can see him playing really well with De'Aaron Fox. If they bring back Malik Monk and Sabonis, I think he would fit really, really well in Sacramento and really help them out. But as far as the asking price, I don't think we're going to get 2 first-round picks anymore. He is on a good contract where the money goes down every year. So, pick 13. The Grizzlies have pick 9.
Yeah.
They're another team to take a look at that may want to move on. The Jazz, they're looking to add more talent. They got pick 10. So there's a couple teams that, and then OKC, the whole Josh Giddey smoke where they give us Josh Giddey in pick 12 for Kuzma in 26. Is that something that may happen? I don't think it will, but it's just something to kind of, keep an eye on. There hasn't been any smoke to that. But like I said, the whole Josh Giddey story and whatnot, we don't know how true that is. I think that's really a rumor. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at Kuz, man. I do think if it doesn't happen draft night, then I do think it will happen this season, this off season, or before the trade deadline coming up in February. But like I said, if they want to wait till next year's draft, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a better draft next year. So if they don't make a deal on draft night or anytime before that, I won't be upset about it because maybe they just feel like they can get a better player in next year's draft.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It is funny about the comments because, he said he doesn't feel like they're a contender, and then he says, don't be that team about the Pistons. But at this point, it's like, don't be that guy, right? Because he totally missed his chance to possibly be in the NBA Finals. But, looking at Kuz, potential fits, like you said, there's a lot of teams in the top 10 who are teams who are trying to look, to add talent to win now. If you look at, number 3, Houston, they're shopping their pick. And there's been rumors that they could flip with Memphis because Memphis is looking at Donovan Clingan. And if you look at that matchup with Donovan Clingan with Jaren Jackson, Lord have mercy. So, there's a lot of options. Number 5, Detroit, that would be a homecoming for him. They're and it's weird because Detroit they were worse than we are, which says a lot. But they are kind of win now because with Kay Cunningham, they got to get better because, after a while, he's going to be like, look, man, what am I doing? He's the type of talent where they're going to have to build a team around him a lot sooner than later, man. So I can see a Kuz move at number 5, man. But like you said, number 9, Memphis, number 10, Utah, 13, Sacramento. Number 15, Miami. A lot of capabilities. I think that this could be the time to move him. Now, again, you don't necessarily need to move him. Like you said, you can move him at the deadline. You can move him next year. They can take their time and take the right deal. They don't have to feel pressed to have to take a deal. They can take the time, take the right deal. But I'm with you, E. I don't think that 2 first-rounders is plausible. I think that if they do attain 2 first-rounders, they're going to be late. They're going to be late in the first round. They're not going to be lottery picks. So I think the best-case scenario is a first-round pick, a young player, and probably an expiring contract to make the salaries match. And that's why I kind of looked at Sacramento because, Harrison Barnes was that name that was mentioned, but he's got 2 years left, and they're even those older than Kuz, similar play styles, and I don't, I'm not going to trade one guy for the other who pretty much have the same play styles. So I looked at Trey Lyles because he's going to be an expiring contract. I looked at Davion Mitchell because while he's going to be an expiring contract, he's also a guy, that we can extend. He's 25 years old. He can defend, and I think that he could be a nice young gun at DC. And 13 gives us the capabilities to go out and get that center if we don't go clinging with the number 2. So it gives us a lot more leeway to be more creative in this draft because this front office, man, they're trying to cook. They're trying to build this team into a winner. They really are, and they're trying to do it the right way. And like I said, I kind of said this the last episode, man, where I was talking about Brian Keefe, where I get it why people are skeptical. We've heard a lot of lip service in DC so many years. We've seen them miss on draft picks year in and year out. We've seen them, fail to build teams around Gilbert Arenas and John Wall. So I get the skepticism, but I'll say this, man, and me, man, I don't mind putting no smoke with nobody, man. But I do think that this front office is going to do it the right way. They're going to, they're going to build through the draft. The scouting department is revamped. Brian Keefe, you look at his resume, it speaks for itself. This front office, their track record as far as building teams through the draft speaks for itself, and I think we're definitely in good hands. So, I'm with you, man. Kuz, like I said, we like Kuz, man, but the thing with his contract was his team friendly is a double-edged sword, right? It's team friendly for the Wizards because that contract is not going to bog them down, but it's also team friendly for prospective teams where if they want to add that scoring punch to a contending team, they don't have to break the bank to do so. So it's kind of a double-edged sword where it benefits both parties. We can have him on the squad and it's not going to weigh us down. but then other teams can acquire a scorer who has proven he can score 20 plus, and they don't have to break the bank to do so. So it's, like I said, double-edged sword. I think everybody wins, and I think eventually, you got to move on. So like I said, they don't need to move on now, but I think when you look at this draft, the move back into the lottery, and you could prospectively have 3 first-round picks. I think you got to make that move. And I know that was it like 3 weeks ago there was a report that Wood Dog is looking to add another pick. So I think that would be the perfect way to do so. But again, you don't have to feel compelled to do so. Again, his contract's not breaking the bank, and you can take your time to find the right package. So I'm with you on that, E. So we're gonna get into, man, Chief Keef is officially the 26th head coach in Washington Wizards history. So I'm going to get your thoughts on what you like about the deal and what you're looking forward to from Brian Keefe next season. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. So what is PrizePicks? Well, it's America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more or less than on 2 or more players in the stat projections, and you get a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Lord have mercy. With PrizePicks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. When the finals are over, the hoops action doesn't stop with PrizePicks. Women's basketball is just getting started, with the young stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves. Alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson, you can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. There's always action on PrizePicks, and this is the perfect time to try out something new as basketball is winding down. Make sure to try out esports this month, because for every Wednesday and Saturday in June, if your lineup doesn't win, you'll get your entry fee back. Ooh. Choose from Counter-Strike 2, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and more. So look, all you have to do is download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for our first deposit match up to $100. And again, download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for our first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. All right. Sorry. Chief Keef. He is now the number. Oh, I think you might be on mute.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to PrizePicks.
Absolutely. So,
who you got for tonight? What's your PrizePicks picks for tonight?
Oh man, that's a good question, because I mean, you got a defensive team versus a team with Luka and Kyrie, man. I mean, it's tough. I'm gonna put money on. I mean, Kyrie and Luka are gonna get their points. They're gonna get their points. But then, if you look at Boston, man, I mean, Tatum's. That's tough, man. I'm gonna have to take a look at PrizePicks after this, man, and really make an informed decision, because I don't know. Because, like I said, Boston is a clear favorite for good reason, man. You got 4 guys who have been balling out this year, man. I mean, Drew Holiday combined with Tatum and Brown and KP, but I mean, Luka and Kyrie and their ability to get their bigs involved, and Gafford and Lively, man. I mean, this gonna be good finals, man. So I'm definitely putting money on the guys gonna ball out. I mean, Kyrie. I mean, I'm definitely gonna go 25 over, man, because he's gonna get his points. Luka, same thing. I mean, on the Boston side, man. KP, I think I saw something that was KP was over 1.1.5 blocks. I might take that. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I got Porzingis getting over 15.5 points. I can see that. I bet on Luka to get, over 31.5 points. I should have bet on Aaliyah Edwards for the Mystics tonight, because she's playing really, really good basketball against Angel Reese. She's got like 15, 16 points right now. But, yeah, I'm looking at Luka's points, Porzingis' points, PJ Washington's points. That's what I'm looking at right now. I would take a look at Gaff and Derek Lively. One of those guys are going to have a big game tonight, too, for sure. But Porzingis is back. So I'm looking at Porzingis to have a good game coming off the injury.
Look, man, shout out to KP and Daniel Gafford, man. Like, man.
There you go.
Man, man, it's good to see them at that, the high level of basketball, man. It really is, man. They both deserve it, man. They put in good time here in DC. So, as you know, E, Brian Keefe officially named the 26th head coach in Wizards history. So, do you like the move? And what are your expectations from Brian Keefe this season as the head coach?
Yeah, did you get to tell them about your experience at the presser?
Oh yeah. We went live, I believe, the day of the press conference.
Okay, yeah, you did. Yeah, I know. So yeah, I mean, you got to see the presser in person, which is awesome. I know they provided free food for you there. I didn't get a chance to go down. Brandon getting the insight for you guys. Like I said, I'm gonna try my best to get down to either some of the draft stuff or some of the summer league stuff. So I'm gonna try to go with you down there, so and use our media credentials for sure.
Yes, sir.
So that was great that you went down there to listen to the press conference. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of something that we talked about last year. Like, we had a feeling when they hired Chief Keef and David Vanderpool that they hired those guys to take Wes's spot. And it happened a little bit earlier than what I thought. I thought they were going to let Wes play out the whole season, but they were like, "Nah, we got to move you to a different spot." Really, you know, they tried their best not to fire him. Instead they just moved him to a different position. Wes is now on the Bulls, but to get back to Chief Keef, who did a good job. He did a solid job. I know we didn't win a lot of games. He had a bad record too, just like Wes did, but last year was more about getting the best draft pick they can get, draft capital, developing the guys. Danny improved under Keefe. Jordan Poole got better under Keefe. He looked like his normal self instead of the silliness that we saw in the first half of the year. He played better at the point guard position. Jared Butler got paid under Chief Keefe. He played a lot better. Bilal looked a little bit more under control at times. And Vucevic came in and played well. He just let Vucevic come in and play well, and he looked like he fit in. Like and Vucevic just came, from overseas, literally at the end of the season, and Vucevic played really, really good ball. So, I just feel like they play more motivated, more energy. Like I said, they still lost a lot of games, but you could see just a difference in the energy and just the development. And that's what he's doing right now. He helped develop Shai Gilgeous.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant loves Brian Keefe. Shai Gilgeous, Brandon Ingram. He helped develop Brandon Ingram with the Lakers. He helped their defense improve from 30th to 12th the next year with the Lakers. So, I mean, there's a lot of good things he's done, a lot of players that he's coached up and developed, familiarity with Will Dawkins and Michael Winger. So, I mean, we kind of saw this coming. We did see this coming. Now, I mean, the question mark is, how seriously did they take the other candidates? Yeah. Because I do feel like they made this decision before the season even started. I feel like they made the decision when they brought them here. Chris Quinn is a name that they interviewed. There's a couple other guys. Nobody said. No, I'm not saying they should have interviewed JJ Redick, but I'm just saying, did they interview Dan Hurley? Dan Hurley is now a big candidate for the Lakers. Did they give him a chance? Like, how much of a real chance did they give other guys, and how many guys interviewed as a whole? I know The Athletic made a story. They reported a couple guys that were assistant coaches. How attractive are we? Like, I know you brought up Mike Budenholzer, but we knew that wasn't going to happen because he wants to coach a team that's ready to win now. So, how attractive were we? I know Udonis Haslem said on our podcast that actually on First Take, that he said the Wizards job was the best job out there. Yeah. So how many guys were really seriously interested, and how serious was Will Dawkins when he really had these interviews? Because like I said, I'm not going to call it an inside job, but we know that they wanted these guys, Vanderpool and Keefe, to be kind of, I'm not going to say a 1-2 punch, but, we know that they're coming in together to take over this team and coach this team up. So that's my thoughts on it, but I'm fine with it. Like I said, every time we interviewed Brian Keefe, he was a great guy. He answered every question. No problems with him personally. I know it's not about whether we like somebody or not, but I think, like we saw from the games, they play harder. Yeah. Poole played a lot better. Denny had a 40-point game under Brian Keefe. Like, that's something that we just haven't seen from him. And Denny went nuclear in the second half of the year. So I have nothing but positive things to say about Brian Keefe. But, of course, I think he's just going to be judged on how does Bilal do, how does the first pick of the draft do, how does Vucevic do, how does the 26th pick of the draft, how do these guys play together more than just wins and losses? Do we see progression from the team? Do we see a culture building? Like, those are the things that are, of course, winning and losing is important, but we know right now we're not in the position to make the playoffs or anything like that. But those are the things where I'm looking at, instead of waving the white flag like West was in the third quarter and just sitting. Johnny Davis, even, I'm not going to say just even Johnny Davis, but Johnny Davis, you did see some improvements towards the end of the year, some of the confidence going up. Yes, he did struggle. Corey Kispert played well too. So, I mean, there's some positives for Brian Keefe that we saw.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the decision was made well before the announcement came out. I think that when they hired him initially, him and David Vanderpool, that, it was to eventually take over from Wes Unseld Jr. I think that they saw enough from Wes. And I think we all saw enough from West. I'm not going to kick anybody while they're down, but like you said, it was a big improvement from waving the white flag with 5 minutes left in the fourth to, in the second half, we were playing good teams hard. We were trying to win games. So you saw a culture change. Yeah, I mean, did they do their due diligence as far as Hurley? That's a name that you just now recently saw with the Lakers job, which everybody was saying that JJ Redick was the favorite for that job. Now it looks like Hurley may be the favorite for that job, and rightfully so, because UConn. I mean, again, resumes. Your resume speaks for itself. You know what I mean? So in his resume, what he's done at UConn, he definitely should get an opportunity. And now this kind of off subject. Is that enough for LeBron to stay? I don't know, but that's a whole nother team of the subject. But looking at Brian Keefe, to me, the biggest thing is this: you hit the nail on the head. Resume. Started off in with the Spurs, video coordinator, underneath Greg Popovich, going over to OKC and being central to the development of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. You hit the nail on the head. Brandon Ingram in LA. He helped KP with his defense and his development in New York. And then when he went back to OKC, SGA. And SGA, I mean, I'm not going to say he was more deserving, but than Jokic, but I'm going to say this was an MVP year where multiple guys earned that MVP, and the SGA definitely earned the MVP. And I think that all roads, as far as development, lead back to Brian Keefe. And I think that definitely, says a lot about Brian Keefe. Number two, development. He again, his track record with development. We need to get somebody who he made a comment at the press conference, and then the comment was when he looks at a player, he looks at what they can evolve into, what they can eventually become. And if you look at the roster, nobody on here is a complete player outside of vets. Kyle Kuzma is who he is at this point, but even Jordan Poole is a guy who can be developed further. We still got, Denny can be developed further. Kispert, Johnny, for daggone sure. But I mean, so we need the guys going to be able to develop, because like I said, in this draft, you very well can have 3 guys that need to be developed. They're part of the young core going forward, man. And, the rebuild's probably going to last 3 more years at the minimum, man. And I think they're going to start making leeway at that point. But, number 3, culture. Again, both of us saw a completely different team in the second half, man. In the first half, this team just quit. The white flag was out, and I'm done. It's the fourth quarter, I'm done. Where in the second half, they played hard. They played good teams hard, man. And you just saw that, they were playing together. You saw a lot more ball movement, defensively, while, defense wasn't where you wanted to be. It was better than the first half. Communication was better as far as defensively, So I think that definitely earned him the job through the rebuild. Now, I kind of compare Brian Keefe to Brett Brown, right? And a few other people have. I think Matt Modderno made that comparison initially, which Brett Brown during the process with the 76ers, where, he was a perfect development coach. But, when it came down to, when they were ready to contend, they went out there and got that headline coach. And I think that's kind of where the Wizards are going to go, because right now you're developing young talent. You're trying to build this team up to where it can potentially be a destination. And then when it's time to, make that switch, when the team wants to contend, to get that final piece of whether this player, because the thing, we said that everything in the NBA is relationships. Kyle Kuzma has links to guys in the West Coast. Same thing with Jordan Poole. People talk. And, when what the team is doing is getting some buzz right now. And the team is trying to build this team right. And there's another thing that we both said in the past, which is we have never been through a proper rebuild. I mean, this is the first time we're going through a proper rebuild where we take our time and rebuild. Ernie Grunfeld missed time and time again in first-round picks. I mean, was Stephen Curry, we could have had him. No, he traded that way for Randy Foye and Mike Miller. The list goes on. And then you look at, we could have got Klay Thompson. John Wall was saying, go get Klay Thompson. And we got Otto Porter. So, we're finally going through a rebuild where they're taking their time. They're scouting. They're developing talent. They're doing it the right way. They're solidifying culture. So I have a lot of confidence in the front office. So we'll see, man. Like I said, I said it initially when they first reset. We both said 3 years, man. I'm gonna give them 3 years, and then we're gonna go from there. But I think they're definitely heading in the right direction, man. So Chief Keef, the biggest thing that we haven't mentioned is now a lot more eyes on him now, because he's the man. See, being the interim head coach, being an assistant coach, man, a lot of the flack is deflected. Now, being the guy is a whole new set of circumstances, man. And so now the spotlight's on him. He's got to be central to developing. And while we're not going to be a playoff team, we're going to be pretty bad. You still have to see a little bit of progress. And that's, you got to, and then how they measure progress is obviously development of talent, but you got to see some progress, especially from guys like Denny, because he broke out. Can he solidify himself officially as a 3-and-D guy who can be a threat on the offensive end? So, yeah, man, mock draft tonight. good mock draft. We talked about Kyle Kuzma and then Chief Keef, man. So again, E, man, it's great to have you back on the show, man. Like I said, man, I know myself and everybody on here misses you on here, man. So before we roll, man, anything you want to plug on?
Yeah, no, I mean, to your point about the whole Brett Brown thing too, I think that is a good comparison. Or even Randy Whitman. I was looking at Randy Whitman and his records to start off. Like his first season when he was the interim head coach, he was 18-31. And then the next year, the 2013 season, he was 29-53. And then 2014, we made the playoffs. We went 44-38. And then 2014-15, where we had a good season, we went 46-36. So I think something like that could happen with Brian Keefe, where, the next 2 years or a year and a half, whatever, we're still, not making the playoffs, but that is just the development over the next 2 seasons. Then, hey, we get a winning record, 44-38, something like that. We make the playoffs. And then the year after, you win 46-50 games, just like similar to Randy Whitman. And Brian Keefe is a big defensive guy. I know we heard that before with Wes. So we'll see how that translates with Brian Keefe, but I do think that's a good scenario that we can compare it to, Brett Brown or Randy Whitman. And then, when they feel like we're going to make the leap, then, if they do want to find an established coach, or we do become a more attractive destination, then maybe somebody of a caliber of Mike Budenholzer may come here. Now, for us, it was, we thought Scott Brooks was going to take us to the next level because they were trying to leverage Kevin Durant, but that's a long story. But, we let go of Randy Whitman. We hired Scott Brooks. We felt like we were ready to make that leap. And the rest is history there. Then, Kevin Durant should have came to DC. But, it's a long story. We really should have beat the Celtics in Game 7. But, it is what it is there, too. So, yeah, I mean, you get the point that we're both making here where, Randy Whitman, I feel like if he does take us to the playoffs in the next 3 seasons in year 3 of the rebuild, I would let him ride out and keep him, honestly, and just see where it goes from there for sure. So, but yeah, no, as far as anything to plug, of course, my own YouTube channel, Ed Oliver. If you type in Ed Oliver Wizards or Ed Oliver Commanders, you'll find me on YouTube for sure. So I'm going to do my own Wizards content on there now too. And then, of course, with Brandon, we're doing Bleacher Report. We got a couple of shows coming up. I know like June 19th and the 25th will be on there. So we got a couple of shows coming up on there. So we still collab and get on the shows together. June 19th, June 25th, and June 28th, we're going to be on there together during the day around like 2 or 3 p.m. on Bleacher Report.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You heard. Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. You heard it here. I definitely recommend you guys check out, if you don't already do, Commanders content, man. I mean, he's the reason why I got into this, man. I mean, he was my first watch. So, man, look, anything Commanders, definitely look at E, man, because he knows what he's talking about, man. So definitely rock with him. So, again, man, appreciate you, man. Like I said, good to have you back on, man. I mean, it's weird, man, because 2 years, bro, 2 years, man, and it's weird having back on, man. But it's always enjoyable chopping up with you, man, and talking ball, man. So till the next time, man. So we'll definitely comment below. Let us know what you guys think about the mock draft. Who you going to? Who you going at 26? And would you trade back into the lottery at 13? Or another pick. So again, definitely want to shout out to my guy E coming back on the show, man. Much love. So we will see you guys next time. Hail to the Wizards and peace. See y'all later, man.
Yes, sir.